What's good, you guys? If you're looking for an excuse to buy another pair of sneakers, then you're in the right place. Now, we're going to do things a little bit differently this time. First and foremost, there is going to be a sneaker review, but I'm also going to give you some background and history on the two brands involved in this collaboration. By the end of the video, you should have a pretty clear view of this partnership between both of them that's been going on for over 10 years. But without further ado, let's get into the shoes specifically that we're going to be reviewing. And that is the Asics Novalis Gel Teremoa. Now, the first striking thing about this shoe is this jersey style netting that you get on the lateral and medial sides in this blue and white, and the Asics logo itself, instead of being attached as an overlay, is actually embossed within that panel. These panels converge on the toe box where you get this almost kind of patented leather, and you see these 4 double stitch lines across the middle of the toe box. Moving up the side of the eye stays, you have this sliver of an underlayment that almost has like a carbon fiber material texture to it. Then you get these gray metal lace loops and these nice flat silver laces. That blue and white netting continues on the tongue, and on the center you get that patented type leather material again, where you also have the Novalis emblem and the Asics Novalis word mark. The back of the tongue and the sock liner come in this almost off gray beige color with a really nice textured pattern to it, and the material is really soft to the touch and feels plush on foot. The insole comes in classic Asics blue per the colorway, Snow White and Asics blue, and towards the top of the lacing system on that patented leather material again, you get the Asics Novalis branding just above the Asics logo. On the heel, that somewhat patented leather continues again and opens up to a big embossed Asics A, and then below it on the midsole portion in a textured area, you get the Novalis emblem stamped in there again. The midsole itself has a lot of interesting features to it. Starting at the forefoot, you get these two kind of hooks that actually come up from the outsole, protrude over the midsole and part of the upper with this gel pod in between. On the medial side, you get one hook coming up by the branding of the FF Blast material, but then moving to the heel is where things really start to get interesting. You have this silver cage that surrounds this giant gel pod that I can't even really describe the shape of it, but you can see all the way through the midsole. You can even push up on the back of the outsole and see some exposed areas. And if you look at the outsole itself, the gel pod starts at the very tip of this heel portion, and the shank itself is split on both sides, so you get that effect on the lateral and medial side. And in between the split of that heel shank, you have the Asics logo with the FF Blast again. Now, the design of this entire outsole has sort of a wave pattern, and it just sort of starts on the center of both the heel and forefoot and bursts out on both ends. Now, the forefoot has this little teardrop in the middle, which I think has something to do with the on-foot feel, because when you step down on the forefoot, you really get a bounce back that sort of feels like you're walking on a pincushion, but like in the best way possible. It's almost like there's an extra pillow sitting in the middle of the forefoot, which really gives you a lot of responsiveness and cushioning at the same time. And this giant gel pod that's at the back of the shoe, I honestly thought that was going to be the most comfortable part of the shoe, but it does have a little bit of resistance and is a little rigid. These are definitely comfortable shoes, but that just kind of threw me off that was the stiffest part of the shoe. Comfort on these though is pretty damn good. Between the FF Blast material and that pincushion kind of reaction that I felt in the forefoot, each step was really plush and just made me want to wear these every day. Now, sizing, that worked out just fine. I wasn't able to put the move insoles in here, but honestly, you don't need them. These are really good to go. I would say that the toe box does close in on you a little bit, so if you have really wide feet, you might want to half size up. But in general, I'm really digging the aesthetic and colorway of this shoe. I've honestly been wearing these like every day. It just ends up being something that I want to throw on. The comfort on it is just huge in that regard. And if you're not really feeling white shoes, or you're just not a white shoe guy, this did come out in a couple other colorways. Most of them do have a predominantly black color scheme, so that would be your way around this if you did want to try this model specifically. This colorway, in fact, is still actually available on Asics' website in very select sizes, but you could check there if you're interested in picking this up. Now, as far as the on foot, I thought the subtlety of this colorway really lent itself nicely to a lot of different looks. It's not very loud, it's pretty neutral, and can be worn easily with shorts or pants. There's a lot going on the shoe, but it's still a very calm down aesthetic, so it really gives you a lot of different options. Now, let's break down the who, what, where, and why of this shoe. First of all, this is an Asics Novalis, which is the sub-label created in October 2023 between Kiko Kostadinov and Asics. Now, even outside of the Novalis sub-label, he's been working with them over the past 10 years, releasing all kinds of models and colorways that all have his signature design language. The most recent example of the ongoing collaboration between Kiko and Asics would be the Gel Keanu 20s that just released in 3 different colorways, and then the DS Trainer 14, which actually had 4 colorways. Now, I'm not really a fan of the DS Trainer. If you've watched my previous video, I just don't think they're comfortable, but if you're into the aesthetic of Kiko designs, then that makes perfect sense. On the other hand, the Gel Keanu 20 in that moss green colorway is definitely a vibe, and I'd be interested to pick those up. Now, just like any other sneaker attached to a designer name, the retail prices initially are going to be hefty, but these are also shoes that are kind of overpriced in a way, and you could wait for that price to go down, possibly get some sales. There are actually 2 colorways of the DS Trainer 14 on Asics' website right now on sale for limited sizing. Another model that I really wanted to get my hands on was the Gel Flamme. I was looking at this green and gray colorway, and oh my god, that thing hits, but unfortunately it's a women's release only, so I guess if you have smaller feet and you can do the size conversion, you could pick those up, but I definitely thought that was an honorable mention to not leave off the list for stuff that recently released, as these are still available in some sizes as well. Now, like I said before, we're going to get into some backstory and history on Kiko Kostadinov and his relationship with Asics, and there's a lot to tell. Now, first of all, people are wondering, maybe if you don't know, who is Kiko Kostadinov? And he's a Bulgarian-born, London-based designer. Some of his earliest works are from 2015, where he worked with Stussy for their 35th anniversary, and he did all of that work while still in college. And 1 year later, he launches his namesake brand, which has been going for the last 9 years. Now, the first time Asics were seen on the runway from Kiko Kostadinov was in spring 2018, where he debuted the Gel Burrs 1. Following that, in fall of 2018, he released the Gel Delva 1. Following that, he released the Gel Socat, which was a little bit more of a polarizing shoe, but to diehard Kiko fans, it became a fan favorite instantly. In addition to having his namesake brand and the sub-label of Asics with Novalis, he's also one of the founding members of the brand Asics Works. This brand is comprised of 4 members, starting with Taro Ray, Stefan Mann, Michael Kopelman, who is the founder of Gimme 5 and the director of Stussy UK, and of course Kiko Kostadinov himself. So Asics Works tapped in together to revive the Gel Kinzai, which came out in these 2 colorways, the Kelp version and the somewhat Nyx version. Either one I'd be happy to get my hands on. Over the years of their partnership, Kiko's been given full reign and access across Asics' entire archive and catalog to give us some really exciting models. From the Gel Socat, to the Gel Kirill, the Gesserit 2, the Socat Infinity, the Gel Kurika, and the Tesseract. Kiko Kostadinov is definitely an innovator in the sneaker space, and his re-engineering of a lot of these shoes is just amazing. I don't pretend to know everything about high fashion, so that's why I'm keeping this information strictly related to the sneaker category, but just his work in that alone is very impressive. And with this being an ongoing collaboration with no signs of slowing down, we can look forward to many more years of interesting and unique drops from this partnership. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap it up, and I hope you got a little bit of insight on this collaborative partnership that you might not have already known. And if you like these kinds of videos where I go a little bit more in depth than just a sneaker review, leave a like or a comment, and I will continue to make more videos like this. So thanks for watching, guys, and remember, life's short, so buy the shoes.